millions monthly viewers, let's explore the story of Kevin O'Leary, from his early life in Montreal to the foundations of a global business empire. Kevin O'Leary was born on July 9, 1954, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to a family that valued discipline, education, and hard work above all else. From a young age, he was immersed in a household where responsibility and accountability were more than just words. They were principles that guided daily life. His father, a hard-working middle-class man, managed finances with meticulous care, ensuring that the family maintained stability despite the ups and downs of life. Kevin observed the tension between ambition and practicality, learning early that success required a combination of vision, effort, and the ability to manage resources efficiently. Growing up in Montreal during the post-war era was not easy. The city was a mosaic of cultures, languages, and economic disparities. Kevin's parents emphasized the importance of education as a pathway to opportunity. They instilled in him the idea that intelligence, hard work, and persistence were non-negotiable tools for advancement. Kevin was naturally curious, asking questions about business, finance, and the world around him. Even as a child, he displayed signs of entrepreneurial thinking, experimenting with small ventures such as selling used goods, organizing neighborhood games for a fee, and finding ways to convert small ideas into tangible results. These experiences may have seemed minor at the time, but they built the core mindset of a future billionaire. Kevin's childhood was also shaped by challenges that tested his resilience. He experienced financial pressures, academic competition, and the social complexities of growing up in a diverse urban environment. Unlike children who could rely on privilege, Kevin learned to navigate limitations and transform them into lessons. He understood early that opportunity rarely comes freely and that a proactive, disciplined approach is required to seize it. These lessons were subtle but powerful, teaching him how to anticipate problems, develop solutions, and act decisively, a skill set that would define his later career. School was both a challenge and a proving ground. Kevin struggled at times to fit in, often feeling different from peers whose families had more comfort or resources. But he found his niche in subjects that demanded analytical thinking, problem-solving, and structured reasoning. Math and logic became areas where he excelled, and he quickly realized that intellectual skill could translate into opportunity. He spent countless hours reading business books, observing local entrepreneurs, and absorbing lessons from mentors whenever possible. The combination of curiosity, discipline, and observation became a recurring theme in his life, a formula for identifying gaps and creating solutions in any market or situation. By his teenage years, Kevin had developed a unique approach to opportunity and risk. He saw failure not as a permanent defeat but as a learning mechanism. This mindset separated him from many peers, giving him the courage to experiment and innovate. He began small-scale entrepreneurial experiments, buying and reselling goods, managing tiny investments, and observing how market forces influenced outcomes. Each experiment, whether successful or not, taught him critical lessons about cash flow, operational efficiency, and strategic planning. He learned that money alone was insufficient for success. Discipline, knowledge, and foresight were equally important. Kevin's parents also emphasized the importance of communication and presentation. They encouraged him to articulate ideas clearly and logically, a skill that would later become invaluable in negotiations, boardrooms, and media appearances. He learned the power of persuasion, the value of concise messaging, and the ability to convey complex ideas in a way that others could understand and act upon. These foundational skills would later allow Kevin to command attention on Shark Tank, pitch effectively to investors, and influence entrepreneurs worldwide. Outside the classroom, Kevin displayed leadership qualities. He organized small teams, delegated responsibilities, and monitored outcomes, showing an early understanding of management and accountability. He observed adults who succeeded and failed, noting that consistent effort, meticulous planning, and strategic risk-taking distinguished the successful from the rest. Kevin's early experiences reinforced a critical principle. Success is rarely about luck. It is about preparation, learning, and execution. By the time he completed high school, Kevin's mind was already oriented toward business and finance. He recognized that education was the key to leverage, giving him knowledge and credibility to navigate complex systems. He pursued studies in commerce and finance, seeking opportunities to understand money, investment, and operational management deeply. Kevin's early ventures and academic pursuits intersected to create a foundation of both practical and theoretical knowledge, an advantage that would serve him in launching businesses and evaluating investment opportunities later in life. Kevin also faced social and emotional challenges, navigating friendships, peer pressure, and societal expectations. These experiences taught him emotional intelligence, resilience, and the value of long-term focus over immediate gratification. He began to see the world as a system of cause and effect. Decisions today create outcomes tomorrow. This strategic mindset became a cornerstone of his business philosophy, guiding every move he would make from early ventures to global entrepreneurship. During these formative years, Kevin's observations of the world around him became remarkably detailed. He noticed patterns of business behavior, consumer psychology, and operational inefficiencies. He studied successful entrepreneurs and analyzed their decisions, asking why some thrived while others failed. These reflections were not casual. Kevin actively recorded insights, tested ideas, and refined his approach. By the end of his adolescence, he possessed a toolkit of knowledge, skills, and experiences that few peers could match. A combination of discipline, curiosity, strategic thinking, and resilience. The final years of his youth were marked by decisive choices. Kevin chose a path of disciplined education and practical experimentation. He sought mentors, explored business opportunities, and prepared for the challenges of entrepreneurship. These years were characterized by relentless curiosity, observation, and the desire to control his future rather than leave it to circumstance. Every action reinforced the lesson that preparation, execution, and principled decision-making are the building blocks of wealth and influence. By the time Kevin entered higher education, he was already primed for business success. He had internalized the value of strategy, discipline, and resilience. Early failures had become lessons, successes had reinforced confidence, and curiosity had transformed into a framework for analysis and opportunity. Kevin O'Leary, at this stage of life, was a young man ready to step into the world with a mindset designed for wealth creation, influence, and lasting impact. Kevin O'Leary's transition from an academically disciplined young man to a full-fledged entrepreneur began in his early adult years, where ambition, preparation, and opportunity intersected. Fresh out of university, Kevin was not content to follow a conventional corporate path. Instead, he sought ways to take control of his financial destiny, understanding that ownership, leverage, and calculated risk were the true engines of wealth. In these formative ventures, he refined a set of principles that would guide him for decades: meticulous planning, data-driven decision-making, and relentless execution. Every small experiment was a laboratory for learning, a place to test assumptions, measure results, and iterate. One of Kevin's earliest ventures involved reselling consumer goods and managing small import-export deals. He began with limited capital, often borrowing from personal savings, friends, or small loans. While these ventures were modest in scale, they offered practical lessons that formal education could not provide. Kevin learned the nuances of supply chains, negotiation, cash flow management, and customer behavior. Mistakes were inevitable. Sometimes shipments arrived late, products failed to meet expectations, or contracts fell through. But each failure reinforced a critical lesson. Risk must be calculated, and preparation mitigates loss. He observed that entrepreneurs who failed repeatedly without reflection rarely recovered, while those who treated failure as a teacher often became stronger and more strategic. During this time, Kevin's disciplined mindset set him apart. He maintained rigorous records, analyzed profit margins, and tracked performance metrics, even for small ventures. This attention to detail, combined with his growing understanding of market dynamics, enabled him to identify inefficiencies and capitalize on opportunities that others overlooked. His peers often marveled at his analytical approach, while mentors recognized early signs of a strategic mind that could navigate complexity, assess risk, and deliver results under pressure. These experiences solidified a principle that would define Kevin's career: Wealth and influence are not products of luck. They are the outcome of preparation, observation, and disciplined action. In the mid-1980s, Kevin co-founded SoftKey, a company that initially focused on software distribution and small-scale technology products. SoftKey became a platform for him to implement lessons learned from early ventures at a larger scale. He applied operational efficiency, strategic acquisitions, and disciplined management to grow the business. The company's growth strategy was unconventional. Rather than developing all products in-house, SoftKey acquired underperforming educational software companies and optimized their operations to maximize profitability. Critics called this approach aggressive, but Kevin viewed it as strategic, turning undervalued assets into high-performing ventures. SoftKey's trajectory was fueled by Kevin's understanding of market timing, consumer behavior, and product positioning. He emphasized cost management, efficient operations, and careful financial planning. Every acquisition, integration, and product launch was carefully evaluated for risk and reward. Kevin's ability to combine analytical rigor with strategic intuition allowed SoftKey to grow rapidly, establishing a reputation for disciplined execution and operational excellence. The company became a leader in the educational software space, with products reaching millions of users worldwide, demonstrating Kevin's capacity to scale ideas from concept to global impact. Alongside the operational focus, Kevin cultivated his public persona as a decisive, principled entrepreneur. He communicated clearly with investors, employees, and partners, emphasizing transparency, accountability, and measurable performance. This reputation was critical in attracting additional investment and talent, allowing SoftKey to pursue ambitious expansion strategies. Kevin's leadership style combined a high expectation for results with mentorship and guidance, creating a culture of performance, innovation, and disciplined risk management. These principles would later define his role on Shark Tank, where he became known for his blunt yet insightful evaluations. While SoftKey's successes were notable, Kevin faced challenges that tested his resilience and strategic thinking. Competitive pressures, market fluctuations, and operational complexities required constant adaptation. He learned to navigate regulatory hurdles, integrate acquired companies efficiently, and maintain operational standards at scale. These experiences reinforced lessons about perseverance, strategic foresight, and the importance of building systems that could withstand volatility. Kevin realized that entrepreneurship is not about avoiding failure, but about constructing frameworks that turn challenges into predictable, manageable outcomes. By the late 1980s, Kevin had solidified his approach to business. Acquire strategically, optimize operations, maintain financial discipline, and scale with precision. He recognized the importance of branding, customer experience, and market positioning, elements that would later shape his investments and media ventures. Kevin's early ventures and SoftKey established his credibility as a sharp, data-driven entrepreneur capable of turning risk into opportunity. He understood that knowledge, preparation, and execution are the trinity of success, lessons that he would carry forward into high-stakes deals and media visibility. Kevin O'Leary's journey into global business prominence accelerated when he assumed leadership of the Learning Company, a venture that would test his strategic acumen, operational discipline, and ability to navigate complex corporate landscapes. By this point, Kevin had already established a reputation as a disciplined, data-driven entrepreneur through his work with SoftKey. The Learning Company presented an opportunity to scale operations at an unprecedented level and demonstrate that his approach to efficiency, acquisition, and growth could work on a multinational stage. From the moment he stepped into the role, Kevin approached the challenge with meticulous planning, attention to detail, and unwavering focus on measurable outcomes. The Learning Company was a collection of educational software businesses, many underperforming or struggling to achieve profitability. Kevin's strategy was straightforward yet ambitious. Identify inefficiencies, streamline operations, integrate complementary products, and scale both distribution and market penetration. He recognized that operational waste, poor management, and lack of strategic oversight were primary obstacles to success. Kevin's approach was hands-on, often personally reviewing product lines, financial statements, and management structures. His early exposure to risk, accountability, and operational efficiency now became invaluable as he led a complex organization with multiple stakeholders, employees, and investors. Kevin emphasized performance metrics as the core of decision-making. Every department, project, and acquisition was analyzed rigorously to ensure it contributed to profitability and long-term sustainability. Employees were held accountable and clear KPIs were established to measure efficiency, revenue growth, and product quality. While some critics labeled his approach as demanding or blunt, Kevin maintained that clarity, structure, and discipline were essential for scaling a global business. His philosophy was simple. Strategy without execution is meaningless, and execution without discipline leads to failure. The company began acquiring additional educational software firms, integrating them into a cohesive portfolio. Each acquisition was a calculated move, supported by rigorous due diligence and a focus on operational synergy. Kevin understood that growth alone was insufficient. It had to be profitable, sustainable, and strategically aligned with the company's long-term vision. He applied lessons from his early ventures, attention to cash flow, operational efficiency, and disciplined risk-taking, to ensure that each move reinforced the company's trajectory toward market leadership. One of Kevin's critical innovations during this period was the focus on scalable processes. He standardized operational procedures, implemented performance tracking, and optimized supply chains. By reducing inefficiencies and maximizing productivity, the learning company could achieve substantial growth without proportionally increasing costs. Kevin also focused on building a culture of accountability, instilling in employees a sense of ownership, responsibility, and pride in their work. This cultural shift proved essential in integrating acquired companies and maintaining consistency across a diverse portfolio of products and teams. Financial discipline remained a cornerstone of Kevin's strategy. He maintained meticulous oversight of revenue streams, cost structures, and capital allocation. Every investment, marketing campaign, and product launch was evaluated for ROI and long-term value creation. Kevin's insistence on financial rigor not only improved operational efficiency but also built confidence among investors and stakeholders, demonstrating that the company's growth was sustainable and strategically sound. Despite these efforts, the learning company faced significant challenges. Market competition was intense, consumer expectations were evolving, and technological innovation demanded continuous adaptation. Kevin navigated these obstacles with a combination of analytical rigor and intuitive decision-making. He recognized trends early, adjusted strategies proactively, and ensured that the company remained agile in a rapidly changing industry. These experiences reinforced his belief that adaptability, foresight, and disciplined execution are critical components of long-term business success. In 1999, Mattel, the global toy and entertainment giant, acquired the learning company in a high-profile deal. While the acquisition initially appeared to be a triumph, integration challenges soon emerged. Cultural differences, operational misalignment, and unexpected market conditions led to financial losses, putting Kevin and the company under intense scrutiny. Critics questioned his strategy, and public perception shifted dramatically. However, Kevin viewed these challenges not as failure but as a critical learning experience, reinforcing lessons about risk management, scalability, and the importance of maintaining operational control. Kevin's response to the acquisition challenges highlighted his resilience and strategic mindset. He conducted detailed postmortems, identified areas for improvement, and adjusted his approach for future ventures. The experience taught him that even the most well-executed strategies could encounter unforeseen obstacles, and that the ability to adapt, learn, and act decisively distinguishes successful leaders from the rest. Kevin's philosophy, embracing challenges as opportunities for learning, became a recurring theme in his subsequent ventures, particularly in media and investing. During this period, Kevin also honed his personal brand. He developed a reputation as a decisive, data-driven entrepreneur who valued results over emotion. Kevin O'Leary's rise to global prominence took a dramatic turn with his transition from traditional entrepreneurship to media-driven investment, culminating in his role as one of the most recognizable figures on Shark Tank. By this stage in his career, Kevin had already amassed considerable experience running companies, negotiating high-stakes deals, and navigating operational complexity. What he lacked, however, was a platform to amplify his influence and share the principles that had guided his success. Shark Tank provided that platform, blending entrepreneurship, entertainment, and education, and allowing Kevin to reach millions of viewers worldwide, shaping perceptions of business and investing in real time. The concept of Shark Tank was straightforward but revolutionary. Aspiring entrepreneurs pitched their businesses to a panel of seasoned investors, seeking capital, mentorship, and strategic guidance. For Kevin, this was not just a television opportunity, it was a natural extension of his philosophy. He understood that entrepreneurship is as much about evaluation, discipline, and negotiation as it is about innovation. On Shark Tank, he could demonstrate these principles on a global stage, dissecting business models, probing assumptions, and guiding entrepreneurs toward better decision-making. From his first appearance, Kevin's presence was commanding, sharp, direct, and data-driven, yet tempered with strategic insight. Kevin's approach on Shark Tank reflected the lessons learned from decades of hands-on experience. He evaluated businesses not by emotion or potential hype, but by fundamentals: cash flow, scalability, market demand, and management capability. Entrepreneurs quickly recognized that Kevin's decisions were grounded in rigorous analysis, not theatrics. While his blunt delivery sometimes sparked tension, it underscored his core principle. Clarity, honesty, and disciplined evaluation are non-negotiable in business. For viewers of Millions Monthly, Kevin's appearances illustrated that tough questions, critical thinking, and strategic rigor are not just tools, they are survival mechanisms in entrepreneurship. The impact of Kevin's media presence extended far beyond individual deals. Millions of viewers began to internalize his philosophies. Money follows strategy, discipline beats luck, and accountability is paramount. Kevin consistently emphasized the importance of aligning personal values with business decisions, demonstrating that wealth is meaningful only when paired with integrity and thoughtful leadership. This messaging resonated with audiences across the United States and globally, particularly among aspiring entrepreneurs seeking guidance from someone who had navigated the full spectrum of business challenges. One of the defining aspects of Kevin's Shark Tank tenure was his ability to bridge education and entertainment. Each pitch, negotiation, and evaluation became a lesson in operational strategy, financial literacy, and market analysis. He dissected business models with surgical precision, highlighting strengths, identifying weaknesses, and offering actionable advice. Entrepreneurs learned to anticipate investor concerns, optimize cash flow, and refine operational processes, while viewers absorbed principles applicable to their own ventures. Kevin effectively turned each televised interaction into a masterclass in entrepreneurship, blending experience, insight, and charisma. Beyond individual pitches, Kevin's influence on the investment ecosystem was profound. Startups and established companies began to model their strategies on the principles he showcased: disciplined financial management, clear operational processes, and value-focused growth. He became a mentor, not just to the entrepreneurs on screen but to viewers worldwide. His approach underscored that successful investing is a combination of analytical rigor, strategic foresight, and principled decision-making, a philosophy that guided his own ventures long before he became a media figure. The media exposure also allowed Kevin to expand his portfolio in other domains, including real estate, technology, and international investments. With each venture, he applied the same principles that had guided SoftKey, the learning company, and previous entrepreneurial experiments: disciplined planning, operational efficiency, and strategic risk management. Kevin demonstrated that media influence and business acumen are not mutually exclusive. Instead, they can be mutually reinforcing when guided by clarity, expertise, and ethical leadership. Kevin's personal philosophy, often summarized as "cash flow is king," became widely recognized through his media presence. He emphasized that liquidity, revenue consistency, and operational discipline are non-negotiable for sustainable business growth. Entrepreneurs who internalized this principle learned to balance ambition with pragmatism, innovation with operational feasibility, and risk with calculated strategy. Kevin's ability to translate complex financial concepts into actionable guidance set him apart as both a mentor and investor, influencing generations of business leaders and startups. Even as Shark Tank elevated Kevin's profile, he remained disciplined and principled in his personal and professional conduct. He continued to mentor privately, invest strategically, and apply lessons from decades of hands-on experience. The exposure allowed him to expand his thought leadership, writing books, participating in panels, and speaking to global audiences. He became a symbol of strategic entrepreneurship, demonstrating that sustained success is a combination of preparation, knowledge, discipline, and ethical decision-making. For millions of monthly viewers, this chapter of Kevin O'Leary's life illustrates several critical lessons. Visibility and influence amplify impact. Disciplined analysis and strategic foresight are essential, and education, both formal and experiential, is invaluable. Kevin's media ventures showcase that knowledge, when shared effectively, multiplies influence, accelerates opportunity, and creates pathways for others to achieve success. His journey on Shark Tank reflects the synthesis of experience, intellect, and communication, a model for aspiring entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders worldwide. By the conclusion of this period, Kevin O'Leary had transitioned from accomplished entrepreneur to global mentor, investor, and media personality. His reputation for disciplined analysis, strategic rigor, and principled decision-making solidified his role as an influential voice in business and investing. Every pitch, negotiation, and public appearance reinforced the foundational lesson that wealth and influence are products of preparation, insight, and execution. Millions of monthly viewers can see that global recognition is not about chance. It is earned through consistent application of principles learned over decades. Kevin's story during the Shark Tank era exemplifies how experience, strategic insight, and media exposure can converge to amplify both wealth and impact. It also demonstrates the importance of mentorship, clear communication, and disciplined decision-making, offering a blueprint for anyone aspiring to scale influence and achieve lasting success. The stage was now set for the final chapter: legacy, wealth philosophy, continued investments, and the enduring principles that define Kevin O'Leary's career, illustrating a journey from disciplined youth to global entrepreneurial icon. Kevin O'Leary's journey from disciplined student to global business icon culminates in a chapter defined by legacy, wealth philosophy, and enduring principles that transcend industries. By this stage, Kevin had already experienced the full spectrum of entrepreneurship: early ventures, corporate leadership, high-stakes acquisitions, and media influence through Shark Tank. What distinguishes this phase is his reflection on what truly defines success. Wealth is not just a number. It is impact, influence, and the ability to create opportunity for others. Kevin's career illustrates that sustained achievement is a product of deliberate action, disciplined thinking, and principled decision-making. For viewers of Millions Monthly, this chapter provides a roadmap for not just building wealth, but shaping a meaningful legacy. Kevin's philosophy on wealth is rooted in the principle of cash flow supremacy. Throughout his ventures, from SoftKey to the Learning Company, and even on Shark Tank, Kevin emphasized the importance of liquidity, predictable revenue, and disciplined financial management. Wealth, in his view, is not the accumulation of flashy assets or temporary valuations. It is the ability to deploy capital strategically, weather economic fluctuations, and fund growth opportunities without compromising operational stability. He often critiques entrepreneurs who focus solely on hype, flashy metrics, or short-term valuation, arguing that without financial discipline, even promising ventures can collapse under pressure. For aspiring business leaders, this lesson underscores the importance of combining vision with tangible execution. Legacy, for Kevin, extends beyond personal wealth. He believes in creating systems, culture, and frameworks that endure beyond his direct involvement. His approach to business has consistently included building teams, mentoring emerging leaders, and instilling principles of accountability, strategic thinking, and operational discipline. Kevin views every business not just as a financial vehicle, but as a platform to teach, influence, and create long-term impact. This philosophy aligns seamlessly with his media presence. Shark Tank is both a stage for investment and an educational arena where viewers witness real-world applications of entrepreneurship, risk management, and negotiation. Kevin's legacy is also defined by a global perspective. From early ventures in Montreal to international expansions and acquisitions, he learned to navigate diverse markets, regulatory environments, and cultural dynamics. He emphasizes the importance of understanding local markets while maintaining overarching operational discipline. This global mindset allows entrepreneurs and investors to scale effectively while mitigating risks associated with unfamiliar territories. Kevin's experiences illustrate that foresight, adaptability, and cultural intelligence are just as crucial as financial acumen in achieving sustainable, international success. Philanthropy and social responsibility also play a critical role in Kevin's vision of success. While known for his sharp negotiation style and focus on results, Kevin has consistently advocated for using wealth as a tool to create positive change. He supports initiatives that educate, empower, and enable future entrepreneurs, reflecting a belief that privilege carries responsibility. By channeling resources and expertise into mentorship and education, Kevin amplifies his influence, ensuring that the next generation can learn from his successes, failures, and disciplined approach to business. Kevin's personal life reflects the same principles he applies in business. Discipline, structure, and a focus on long-term outcomes guide his decision-making in all areas. He has consistently emphasized the importance of planning, preparation, and accountability, not just for financial growth, but for personal and professional fulfillment. His story demonstrates that true success is multidimensional, encompassing wealth, influence, knowledge transfer, and ethical conduct. Millions monthly viewers can take inspiration from Kevin's life. Discipline, preparation, and principled action form the foundation for lasting impact. In this phase of his career, Kevin also expanded his influence through thought leadership. He authored books, delivered talks, and participated in global forums, sharing insights on investing, entrepreneurship, and strategic decision-making. These efforts reinforce a central theme in Kevin's philosophy. Knowledge is amplified when shared. By codifying principles and demonstrating them publicly, he extends his legacy beyond individual ventures, shaping the behavior, mindset, and strategies of countless entrepreneurs worldwide. Kevin's investment philosophy remains consistent. Evaluate rigorously, invest selectively, and prioritize operational efficiency. He emphasizes metrics over emotion, scalability over novelty, and financial sustainability over hype. In doing so, he challenges aspiring entrepreneurs to embrace a disciplined, analytical approach, demonstrating that measured risk and careful execution are as important as creativity and innovation. Kevin's success underscores a critical lesson. Disciplined methodology combined with strategic vision produces results that endure. Despite global recognition and immense wealth, Kevin remains grounded in the principles that guided his early life. From disciplined experimentation as a student, through the operational rigor of SoftKey, the strategic challenges of the Learning Company, and the media spotlight of Shark Tank, Kevin's life is a testament to preparation, resilience, and principled execution. His journey illustrates that obstacles, financial, operational, or public, are not deterrents but catalysts for growth when met with discipline, clarity, and strategic insight. Kevin O'Leary's story is not merely about financial success. It is about creating systems, influence, and frameworks that generate opportunity. For millions monthly, this narrative reinforces the central theme. The American dream is accessible to those who combine preparation, insight, resilience, and principled action. His journey demonstrates that wealth is temporary unless paired with impact, discipline, and leadership that inspires others to achieve. As Kevin looks toward the future, his focus remains on legacy building, strategic investment, mentorship, and education. He continues to guide entrepreneurs, invest wisely, and use media platforms to share insights. His story closes a loop that began with disciplined youth, early entrepreneurial experiments, and rigorous learning. That success is not instantaneous but cultivated over decades of preparation, execution, and principled risk-taking. Kevin O'Leary's life teaches us that persistence, strategy, and clarity are the foundations of lasting achievement. From early lessons in responsibility to global recognition as an investor, mentor, and media personality, Kevin O'Leary's journey exemplifies the synthesis of preparation, discipline, and ethical leadership. For viewers of Millions Monthly, his life is proof that wealth is not just a measure of money. It is a measure of influence, impact, and the ability to create opportunity for others. His story encourages every aspiring entrepreneur to act decisively, prepare meticulously, and embrace challenges as avenues for growth. In the final analysis, Kevin O'Leary stands as a model of modern entrepreneurship. Disciplined, principled, strategic, and relentlessly focused on creating a meaningful, lasting legacy.